Welcome back to the den. I'm Tobin, and in this video I want to share with you my top 15 Badger brushes. Wasn't easy. I have a little more than 40. Getting it down to 15 was extremely hard. There's 4 or 5, 3, 4 or so that I kept swapping out. It's like Ultimately what it came down to was a couple of things that maybe if I have enough time I'll cover. In this video I'll be using the same measurement standards that I used in my 15 synthetic brushes. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Brushes that are still available for sale. I will also provide you information on where you can find that and the cheapest place that I've done business with. Without further ado, let's get into this. No particular order. 2019, the Shave Nook Commemorative Annual Celebration Brush from V-Long, or Vi-Long. I think I like V-Long. I've heard it pronounced both ways. It is a 26 millimeter European white badger. This is the creme de la creme, one of the nicest knots I have. It really, really is. It's not gelled. I'm kind of over the gel fad. I don't know about you. Gel fad's been going on for what, 4 or 5 years now, and while I still enjoy some gel brushes, I really only care for ones that are slightly gelled. Here in a few minutes I'll talk about one of those, but for the most part, I'm just over the fad personally. And for me it comes back to man-made versus nature's. Like, you have fake meat and you have real meat. Which is better? I don't know. It's blah, blah, blah. I love this brush. It's dense. It's dense. It's not super dense, not like a high dense, but it is dense. I'm dense, but we all know that. Great flow. This is just a fantastic brush. The loft on it is 53 millimeters. Overall height is 105 millimeters. This brush kicks ass. I love it. Before I share my next brush, I want to point out that the 2019, just like the 2020, was a limited run of 100, and I have number 79. So the V-Long, I have 79. From 2020, the Shave Nook Commemorative Brush, available at Bullgoose, just like the V-Long, I forgot to mention that, is a densely packed silver tip. With it, I have number 44 of 100. This is my favorite silver tip. There's another true silver tip. With all these brushes, I'm going to be going with what the manufacturer calls them, because we all know that I hate assuming, don't assume, Tobin. Different manufacturers have different names for the same kind of knot, potato, patata. And so I'm just going to refer to them how the artisan or the manufacturer referred to them. I'm not going to impart anything else into it. So I have one other true silver tip that I'll be discussing. This brush is amazing. If you can get your hand, this one also came out in a bore knot, but if you can get your hands on any of these TSN brushes, when Phil orders these and when Phil, puts in his requests and stuff for them, he always wants the absolute best of the best. And this is like some of the best fibers that you will find in any brush. One of my complaints with a lot of silver tips is because the expense of the hair, companies, go cheap on how much they pack it. And this one is packed. 24 millimeter, not 53 loft. And the flow is fantastic. It's not so packed. That's one of the, with some super high density knots, sometimes they're a little too packed and you don't get any flow and you can't get the lather loose. Not the problem at all with this one. These TSN brushes, while they are spendy, they're not like outrageous. And that's another thing that's really cool that Phil is able to do, is while they do carry, a 3-digit price tag, I feel like you're getting a ton of bang for your buck. Total of 4 brushes in this video from Smoke. You've seen one. Here's the second one. It's a cherry wood. It's the Mistura, which is Portuguese for mixture. I didn't write down the measurements. I'll put it right here. I don't know why I did that, but I didn't. Super high lather yield on these, you guys. And like there is a bit of a break-in period because of the bore. But this is absolutely one of my favorites. I have a total of 3 mixture knots. One more is in this list. They're amazing. Like I seriously want to add more to the collection at some point. But of the 3 I have overall, this one's my favorite. And you can get this in several different handles. It is just absolutely gorgeous. They do a great job sourcing their wood. And this is, again, cherry. You can get, I think there's an olive. There's one other wood too that I can't think of. You can also, of course, get them in resin handles. You can get this at Fendrihan. It's a company, all the companies that I mentioned I have done business with. I won't mention companies I haven't done business with. Not that there's anything wrong with those companies. I just can't vouch for them. So I won't go down that road. Fendrihan, $57. Other places, it's up around $70. The other place that I found that is competitive with Fendrihan's price is Bullgoose. And that's 6 cents more, $57.06. $57.06 at Bullgoose. And it's worth every penny. This is like, I love it. Do you have one? That backbone, the water retention, the heat retention, the flow is perfect. Super high lather yield. I mean, this wickety wickety whack. It's that good. Number 4 is the last of my limited edition Bullgoose brushes. No particular order. The artisan behind this one is Imred in Spain, right? I actually have another brush of his on its way here now. It has Juniper, or is made from, the handle's made of Juniper. The knot in his Manchurian is freaking amazing. And this knot only has equals. Like, it's not overly gelled. There might be a slight gelling going on, but when I get it wet, it's super hard to tell. And his Manchurians are super packed. Super packed. I love the Bullgoose label or emblem. This is an olive wood, and it's probably time for me to oil it. It's doing all right. Imred makes some of the most beautiful brushes. If you haven't seen his work, I highly suggest finding him on Instagram. Just Imred. That's his first name's like Michael. Every week he's posting things that I'm just like, oh my God. If you've seen any of my content prior to this one, you know that I love Sawdust Creation Studios. The artisan behind that is none other than Bobby Moffet. Brush number 5 and brush number 6 are both from Bobby. His HMW, his High Mountain White knot, is arguably the best knot that has 0 gelling. Absolutely gorgeous. These could probably be classified as a silver tip, but we're calling it a High Mountain White. That's what he calls it. That's what his, his source calls it, I assume. One of the softest, not overly dense either. I mean, the flow on this is perfect because while it's a dense knot, it is not super packed. I have this knot in 2 different handles. I'm really particular, like I was talking about with Garrett in my live the other day, and so is he, about a knot matching a handle. And so when I'm buying a brush from an artisan, I'm imagining in my mind what a particular knot will look like it. I have so many brushes that for me, a lot of it is just aesthetics. And so with guys like Bobby, he has a choice of like 7 different knots. All of them are good. His Manchurian and the HMW are the same cost. And then all the rest are synthetics, and they're all, cheap, like $10 knots. And so for me, if I'm going to go expensive, it's a matter of how it looks, Manchurian versus HMW. And then if I'm going with synthetic, it's a matter of just which one looks best in the knot, whether it's a tuxedo or whatever. High Mountain White, Bobby. This is a Louisiana Cypress, dye stabilized. I think it's so cool being from Oregon. That's his coin there. Sawdust Creation Studios. On Instagram, he's Bobby Moffet. I'll put links to his Etsy. Number 6, no particular order. My second and last brush in this list from Bobby at Sawdust Creation Studios was a part of the Sutton release. This is a 26 millimeter Fendrihan. I can't remember. I want to say this was like the V14 because they have different versions, and the 17 is getting ready to come out. I have a few of these. I can never remember which is which, but they're from his son, Rob. Rob does these. You can also get them on Chisel and Hound. It's an amazing knot. Rob, while they're gelled, they're not overly gelled. And that's one of the things that I'm constantly looking for. And when I see a knot that I know is gelled, I'm very, very hesitant about whether or not I want to buy it. When it comes to the Fendrihans, though, from Bobby and Rob, I always know that I'm going to get a high quality knot that has not been, bleached to hell and back, because that's basically what they're doing is they're bleaching it. And when you over bleach it, it makes them brittle. It makes it feel like crap. You get that jelly, wet, yucky, cockapoo feeling, right? You know what I'm talking about. Have you experienced one? I don't like them. Black walnut. This was made to be like a stilt where you have the 3 coils here and you have a copper inlay. It's a 26 millimeter. And while this again is dense, super packed, it's not so packed that you can't get the soap out, and the flow is great. I love it. I really do. I like the Fendrihans from Rob Moffet and Bobby Moffet at Chisel and Hound and Sawdust Creation Studios. Lucky number 7 and number 8 will both be from the same artisan as well. And that's Smiley Smiles for Miles. The first one I have here is an Oregon Duck theme, and I have a matching soap scoop to go along with this guy. This is his motorboat knot. This is like another Manchurian type 2-band badger. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and it is lightly gelled, but again, that's one thing that I don't really mind anymore. I'm looking to avoid gel, but Smilez does an excellent job with his gel. It's not overly done because he's taking a high quality knot to begin with and giving it a light gelling. It's not like they're, some of these companies, they take a black badger and they gel the shit out of it to make it look like it's high quality. And then that's where you run into the bristles breaking and the different problems that come along with knots that have been over gelled, not to mention they feel like crap on your face. The motorboat is super soft, excellent flow, absolutely gorgeous. Can't go wrong with the motorboat. I have 2 of these, two motorboats. Next is the titty knot, and that is a 26 millimeter. This is the fan shape here. This one is slightly cheaper than the motorboat, so if you're looking to save some money, I will put links in the description to Smilez Etsy and Instagram so that you can contact him or check out his stuff. Smilez does a lot of stuff, including Shaveline NBD, which is the shaving show on Instagram. Titty knot, Smilez for Miles, kick ass. This is his hammer, by the way, hammerhead. For the next 2, when it comes to readily available knots, I feel like these are 2 of the best knots available. First, a couple of years ago on Black Friday from Maggard's, I picked up the X2, which is the Commodore, Simpson, Best Badger. This one here is a 22 millimeter with a 47 millimeter loft. With Simpsons, for those who don't know, you have a 1, a 2, and a 3. 1 being the smallest, 2 being the middle, and 3 being the largest. Razer Emporium currently has the X3 for $75, and they don't have the 2, which is what I have. But they have the X1, which is the smallest one, is a 20 millimeter. The X3 is a 24 millimeter for $50. You can get the X2 from Maggard for $66.50, and Shave Nation has it for $66.99. Seriously, if you've never experienced one of Simpson's best badgers, you should. Even if you only pick up the X1, I know the knots sound small, but they are packed, and they're hand tied. They're packed so well and dense that a 20 millimeter knot seems bigger than what it really is. I love the shape of the Commodore. I seriously love this brush, and I can't recommend it enough. Like, for real, get you one. I'm telling you. Simpson is not one of those companies that is overhyped. If anything, is underhyped. And I know, like, Simpson gets a lot of accolades, but one thing that they live up to is, if you've never experienced a Simpson knot, they're fantastic. The only knot of theirs that I'm not crazy about is the Pure Badger. But for the price, you know, I'm honestly not crazy about the Pure Badger. But the Best Badger and the Super Badger, out of this world. So the chubby is a little too chubby for me, and I feel like it's packed too tight. My favorite Super Badger is the PJ2, the Persian jar. This one, while it is packed well, it's not packed as tight as the chubby, and for me, that it provides better flow and releases the lather more readily. I think it's an extremely elegant, dare I say, sexy handle. And I got those I said I got the X2 on Black Friday. That's wrong. I got this one on Black Friday from Maggard's. Currently, this is a 20 millimeter, by the way. And so it sounds small, right? But look, this is the 26 millimeter from Smilez. And so they're virtually the same when you splay them out. Okay? Don't be like, oh my gosh, 20 millimeters, so small. Not so much. It takes up my whole face. It's the way they have it set, the way they have it tied, and the amount of fibers that's in the knot is my understanding of why you see that. So 20 millimeter, 45 on the loft. Maggard currently has this for $162.50, $162.50. If you watch for some Black Friday sales, you might be able to get a great deal. I think I only paid like $120 for it. That was a couple of years ago. I don't know if it'd be that cheap this year if they do it. West Coast Shaving has the PJ3 for $289. So a whole lot more. I didn't look to see what Maggard's price was. And West Coast also has the PJ2 for $204. If you go to their website, you can find all kinds of different colors. They come in so many colors now, and they even have different types of knots that you won't find on regular websites, from Manchurian to a little bit of everything nowadays. Simpson lives up to the hype. So going from a really expensive brush down to a much more affordable brush. And even if you have a lot of brushes, but you don't have this one, I really think you should add it to your collection. And if you're someone who hasn't tried out a Badger yet and wants to try out a decent Badger for a good price, you cannot beat this guy here. This is from Razer Emporium. It's their finest Badger. It's a 26 millimeter, 55 millimeter loft. You get it in two different handles. They also have a synthetic that comes in this handle here. Both knots, doesn't matter what color you get, are going to be the same. If I had to pick one, it would be this one. I just like I think they call it amber and black, and then this one is what they call black and gold. It's not overly packed. It's not a super dense, but it's not super thin either. Extremely good flow, you guys. Teeny tiny bit of scritch, but once you break it in, dollar for dollar, this may be the best Badger brush on the market. Dollar for dollar. I paid $25 for both of mine, but Thanks to inflation, they've now gone up to $30. You'll never hear me complain. I'm not complaining. I support the free markets. I support capitalism. I'm just stating, and I shouldn't have, that they've gone up since I bought mine. But at $30, it's a steal. For real. I have 2 of them. I wouldn't have bought a second one if I didn't love this one. That's a fact. The remaining brushes will be on the more affordable side, and this one is certainly the cheapest. And I have a feeling that it's often overlooked. It's the Omega 11047, also known as the Mighty Midget. I love it. I had an opportunity to buy a second one in a lot sale, and so I picked up another one that was brand new, never been used. And so here's what they look like, new and unused. I love this. I'm holding on to this one for when mine dies. I'll put pictures of all these. And so here's mine that I've been using for a few years now. $14.99. This is a mixed knot. It has got some high quality Badger in it, and it's really, you guys, $14.99 at West Coast Shaving. Everywhere has it for less than 20. I love this knot, like big time. That's why I'm saving this one. The Mighty Midget, the Omega 11047. It's a 20 millimeter, so it sounds like it's small, right? 43 on the loft and 73 total. It is small. It's super duper, portable. But there's a lot of dynamite in this little package. There really is. Another affordable silver tip would be the Omega 636. They also have the Omega 637 and the Omega 639. The smaller number is a smaller knot. So this 636 has a 21 millimeter, 51 on the loft, total height of 95. You can get this at West Coast Shaving right now for $64.99. And while again, 21 millimeter sounds small, it's so soft. It still takes up my whole face. Now, there's not a lot of backbone. It's not packed super dense. At that price, you're not going to get a knot that is super packed. One thing I've learned, most of the time, not always, I got a couple exceptions, but most of the time, when it comes to Badger brushes, you're going to get what you pay for. If you buy a $30 Badger brush off of Amazon, that's exactly what you're going to get, a $30 Badger brush. That's probably only worth $15. I've talked to so many people over the years who poo-poo on Badger knots, but then you get to talking to them, and out of all the conversations, I can't think of one single person who is poo-pooing on an expensive one. When most wet shavers start out, they start out with something cheap, right? You buy a $15, $30 razor, you buy a $15, $30 knot, and handle whatever brush, right? And so what I have found is that a lot of guys will buy some $30 black Badger and then not be happy with it. This pure Badger from Simpson is only like $30, and it is nothing like the other two. You get what you pay for. I've actually had a conversation with a guy who was saying, "Oh, my Simpson is horrible. It's so scritchy, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Do you have the pure Badger?" He's like, "Yeah, it's pure Badger." It came back to just lack of understanding. So you're not going to get a densely packed knot at this price. The 637 is a 23 millimeter. You can get that for $107.49. The 639 is a 25 millimeter. You can get that for $125. So you can get a slightly bigger brush than what I have here for twice the price. But for $64.99, if you want to experience a high quality silver tip brush, in my opinion, this is a great place to start and a great place to look. I absolutely love this brush. I wish it had more backbone, but again, for $64.99, that's today's market, 2022, November. I dare you to find a better silver tip at that price. Next, but not least, no particular order, we have my Smilez Excelsior. I believe now you can still get it in the Heritage, right? Something. Is the Smilez 750. It's Best Badger. It has a 22 millimeter knot with a 54 millimeter loft. And this is, again, so much bang for your buck. This Best Badger is almost as soft as this silver tip. And, you know, that's one of the things that I wish we can get some type of industry standard on how we classify a knot. But we don't, so we've got to go with what we got. So this is what Smilez calls a Best Badger. So soft. You got great backbone because of the way they have it set in the handle. You have this very cool, classic lucite handle. It's elegant, it's sleek. $40 at Razer Emporium. 40. You're getting a lot of brush. And again, if you've never had a Badger, this is a great place to start. Oh yeah. I love this brush. Last, but certainly not least, another Smilez brush. It's one step up from the Best Badger. The handle is known as the Galahad. I picked it up from Razer Emporium. This is a finest Badger. 22 millimeter, 55 on the loft. You can also get this handle with a horse knot, or you can get it with a boar knot. Right now you can get this from Razer Emporium for $67. And again, this one is slightly softer than the Best Badger. You get what you pay for, okay? 40 for the Best Badger. Great knot. Great knot. Not as good as this one. $67 with the finest Badger. This silver tip was like 3 digits. I don't remember exactly. 160, 180, 150. I don't know. But I believe it's worth it. I believe this is worth it. This is worth it. You gotta be so careful when you're out there buying knots, guys. And the handle is always going to be the cheapest part with these resin handles. You start going into the woods, and you know, and the more rare materials or natural materials, you're going to step it up a little bit. If you're still here, thank you. I love you a long time. It's the little big things like selecting the right type of Badger for your preferences, and like with everything in wet shaving, it comes down to preferences. I love this mixed Badger knot from Smilez, and I love this mixed Badger knot from Omega. $14.99. I love it. Hey, did I already tell you? I love you. Long time. Y'all take care. Happy holidays, and thanks for watching.